Okay, so let's suppose you want to add two fractions together. The first thing you want to check is if the denominators are the same. So in this case, both of these fractions have a denominator of 7. So if the denominators are the same, like in this case, that means we can just add the two numerators together. So we're just going to end up with 2 plus 3 over 7. And of course, when we work that out, we end up getting 5 over 7. So if the denominators are the same, it's fairly quick. But what happens if the denominators are different? Well, if the denominators are different, like in this second example, then we need to find a way to make them the same. Now, there's one way that will always work, and that is to take each fraction and multiply it on the top and the bottom by the denominator of the other fraction. So what I mean by that is this. If we take the 2/3 and look at the denominator of the other fraction, which is a 5, we just multiply this fraction by 5 over 5. And really, multiplying by 5 over 5, that's just like multiplying by 1, right? So if you take a number and multiply it by 1, you're not going to change anything. So this really still is 2/3. And then we're going to take the 1 over 5, and we're going to multiply it by the denominator of the other fraction, which is a 3. So we're going to multiply this second fraction, 1 over 5, by 3 over 3. And again, 3 over 3 is just equal to 1. So this really still is 2/3 plus 1/5. It's just written in a different form. And this is called getting a common denominator. Because watch what happens. Remember, when you multiply fractions, we just multiply the tops and the bottoms directly. So 2 times 5 is going to give us 10, and 3 times 5 is going to give us 15. And then for the second product, we've got 1/5 times 3 over 3. So 1 times 3 is going to give us 3, and then 5 times 3 is going to give us 15. And now we're in the situation that we were in the first example, right? We're adding two fractions together that each have the same denominator. So all we have to do is add the two numerators. So 10 plus 3 is the new numerator, and the denominator is just going to be whatever the denominator of the two fractions we were adding together is, right? So if we're adding these two fractions with a denominator of 15, then our new denominator is going to be 15 as well. And then once we simplify this or finish working it out, we end up getting 13 over 15. So that will always work. That's one way you can always, that's referred to as getting a common denominator. Now, you can always do that. Just take each fraction and multiply it on the top and the bottom by the denominator of the other fraction. But that's not always the only way to get a common denominator. Sometimes we can do it in a simpler fashion. Like look at this example. We've got 3 over 4 and 1 over 6. We could just do exactly what we did in the previous example, but instead, sometimes what you want to do is get what's called the lowest common denominator. So the smallest integer, the smallest whole number that both 4 and 6 divide evenly into. And you can check that that's actually 12, right? Because if I take 3 and not 5, if I take 3 and multiply it by 4, I get 12. And if I take 2 and multiply it by 6, I get 12. Okay, so let's use that in the following way. So I'm going to take this 3 over 4, and what did I have to multiply 4 by to get 12? Well, I had to multiply it by 3. So I'm going to take this fraction and multiply it by 3 over 3. Okay, and then the fraction of 1 over 6, well, what did I have to multiply 6 by to get 12? And the answer to that question is 2. So we're going to multiply this fraction on the top and the bottom by 2. And what this is going to do is this is going to give us a common denominator of 12. So, okay, well, let's work this out. So the first product, we're going to get 3 times 3, which is 9, over 4 times 3, which is 12. And then for the second product, we're going to get 1 times 2, which is 2, over 6 times 2, which is 12. And again, we've got a situation where we've got two fractions that we're adding together, and they both have the same denominator of 12. So we're just going to add the two numerators, 9 plus 2. That gives us the new numerator, and the denominator is still going to be 12. So when we simplify this, we end up getting 11 over 12. So that's always how you add fractions. You always need to make sure the denominators are the same. Once you get to that point, you just simply add the two numerators, and then you leave the denominator the same.